Hello, friends, and welcome to Sleep Tight Stories. Red has so much going through her head as she heads to the breakfast table. She had a bad night's sleep with lots of dreams, and when Blue tells her she was talking in her sleep, her mother looks at her concerned. Red heads off to school to try and think things through before meeting with the gang at lunchtime. Can she tell them more about herself and about being from Mars? Or will they just not believe her? The Transfer Student, Part 30. Other than a brief hello to Mrs. McDonald, the bus driver, and a nod to Rachel and Charlie, Red rode to school in silence. Rachel was lost in yet another book, oblivious to everything around her. And Charlie? Well, Charlie, predictably, was battling a runny nose and had somehow managed to wear his sweatshirt inside out. Red couldn't shake the image of her mother's worried expression as she left the house. It wasn't typical for her mother to watch her leave like that, so intently, almost as if she knew something Red didn't. On her first day at her new school months ago, Red had been more worried about fitting in and staying awake through boring classes than about solving a mystery that connected a local scientist with Mars's relocation program. Now, everything felt different. The morning's classes went by in a blur, punctuated only by the scribbling of pens and the distant chatter of other students. Red could barely concentrate, her mind circling around the puzzle they were trying to solve. Alexa had arranged for the gang to meet at lunch in the cafeteria, and as usual, Red was the last to arrive. Maybe I should camp out here all morning so I can be first, she thought with a smirk. The cafeteria buzzed with noise, the clatter of trays and laughter blending into a background hum. To make matters worse, she'd forgotten her lunch and had to wait in line for the cafeteria's mystery veggie nuggets and potato chips. Yuck. Balancing her tray, Red weaved through the crowded room toward the gang's table. Charlie sat slightly apart, no doubt because he was sneezing, and no one wanted to get sick. So we're dealing with a full-blown alien invasion, right? Charlie said with a stuffed-up voice as Red sat down. This time, no one argued. Red felt pressure in her chest. I consider them my friends, but how much can I really tell them? If she shared that she was from Mars, would they think she was joking or completely lose trust in her? Before she could decide, Alexa spoke first. She looked very excited. Alexa reached into her bag and pulled out the stone that Red had returned with the box. This isn't just any rock, she said, holding it up. It changes when you touch it. Well, I guess the choice has been made for me, Red thought, feeling her pulse quicken. The gang is involved now. Rachel set down her sandwich and closed her book, her eyes wide with curiosity. Wait, are you serious? Does it shoot laser beams? Charlie grinned, despite his sniffles, drawing an eye roll from Rachel. No, but I'm not joking, Alexa said. Last night, I was reading through Dr. Hart's journal and holding the rock, just flipping it around and rubbing it. I was about to go ask my dad for help when it suddenly became translucent. Kurt leaned in, her eyebrows raised. Like one of those mugs that change when you pour hot water into them? My father had one of those, and I think he had a mood ring or rock or something. All gag gifts. Except that this isn't an illusion, Alexa replied. You could actually see right through it. And I know I am no expert on geology, but I don't think that is supposed to happen. The cafeteria buzzed around them, but at their table, a sense of determination settled in. Red's mind raced as she considered the significance of the translucent stone. It wasn't just a curiosity anymore. It had a function of some sort. I spent some time last night decoding what look below meant, Red said, breaking the silence. Last night, I found more notes and symbols scattered throughout the journal. I think Dr. Hart hid clues, not just in the main text, but also in the footnotes and margins. Rachel leaned in, her glasses slipping down her nose. So, you're saying there's a pattern in the footnotes? Yes, Red confirmed, excitement threading through her voice. I found a line that said, "This was the day they came to visit." And another mentioned a place remembered by the sky, hidden from those who walk below. Dr. Hart must have meant for those notes to lead us to something. Alexa's eyes lit up as she held up the translucent stone. And maybe this stone is a key to understanding it. If it changes with touch, there might be more to discover when we compare it with Dr. Hart's entries. Kit nodded, a thoughtful look on her face. So, we should go through the journal line by line, checking the footnotes and the surrounding text for anything that stands out. It seems like we are piecing together a map. This could be it, Red thought. The journal wasn't just a collection of mundane observations, but a trail Dr. Hart had laid out, carefully constructed to reveal something important to those who knew where to look. And now, the gang had a chance to decode it. I think we'll find more than just stories or star charts, Red said, her voice steady. Dr. Hart was meeting someone. Red didn't want to reveal everything she knew just yet. And she left clues for us to find. We just need to be careful and thorough. Alexa held up the stone again, watching as a faint shimmer played across the surface in the cafeteria light. I remember watching a movie with you, Charlie, where there was a normal-looking device that, when you used it, showed secret text on a map or something like that. Charlie always has the good movies at his house, Kurt said with a snort. You think maybe the stone can reveal something in the journal, like a map or something? Charlie asked. Maybe look below means there's a hidden message in the lower part of the page or in the layers beneath the visible text, Rachel excitedly suggested. That's possible, Red agreed. I read somewhere that old documents sometimes have invisible ink that only shows up under certain conditions. Charlie's eyes lit up. Like lemon juice and heat? We should totally try that. Alexa smiled. Not in the cafeteria, though. We don't want to set off a fire alarm. They all laughed, breaking the tension for a moment before Red spoke up again. Let's meet in the library after school to continue. Agreed. The library after school. I'll tell my coach that I have an important meeting, Kurt said, drumming her fingers on the table. because this could be our biggest discovery yet. Then the bell rang, signaling the end of lunch. "See you after school," Red said. All through her afternoon classes, Red's mind was focused on the clues they were about to piece together. The minutes dragged on, and she started to get tired from her poor night of sleep. Luckily, she only had to sit through math and science. If it had been English with Mr. McCaskill, she would have been in trouble. When the final bell rang, she immediately became alert and awake. Finally, she would make real progress in understanding the mystery about Dr. Hart and the Mars Resettlement Program. Yet she didn't know why, but she kept wondering what her father would think about her digging into this mystery. Would he have answers or try to stop her? Surely both her parents would, in the end, be supportive? Red met Alexa, Rachel, Kurt, and a sniffling Charlie at the library's entrance. The afternoon sunlight filtered through the library's large windows, casting warm, golden patches across the wooden tables and shelves. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of old books and the soft rustle of turning pages, accompanied by the occasional whisper of conversations. Red still didn't understand why these places always had to be so quiet. They found a secluded table at the back and spread out the journal, some printouts, and the smooth, shimmering stone. "All right, let's see what we can find," Rachel said, adjusting her glasses as she leaned over the notes. Red swiped open the journal images on her phone and cleared her throat. She read aloud from the decoded lines. October 12th, 1926. This was the day they came to visit. "Look below," Kurt repeated, eyes scanning the text intently, as if she could will the hidden meaning to the surface just by staring hard enough. Alexa held up the smooth stone and started rubbing it to see if she could make it transform again. Just as she was about to stop in frustration, it started to become clearer and clearer until it was translucent. "Whoa," Charlie said. "I hope it doesn't shoot rays. I'm in the line of fire." Alexa then, by chance, turned it toward the warm light streaming from a nearby lamp. The group watched in silence as faint, intricate symbols flickered across its surface, lines and curves that animated. "This is amazing. But look," Rachel said, pointing at the markings. "Those symbols align with the notes in the journal's margins. See? Here and here." She traced her fingers across the pages. "You're right. Dr. Hart wasn't just writing observations. She was leaving a map," Red said excitedly. Charlie's eyes widened. "It's like a code hidden in plain sight," he said, half amazed. "So, what are we saying? That this isn't just a journal, it's a map?" Red nodded slowly. "Exactly. But we need to be sure. The coordinates are likely somewhere just outside of town." Kurt's brows furrowed as she glanced between the stone and the journal. If this is a map, why did she leave it hidden like this? Why not make it easier to find? "Maybe it was never meant for just anyone," Alexa whispered, a thoughtful edge to her voice. Dr. Hart could have intended it for someone who would know what to look for, or someone like us, willing to dig deeper. Red furrowed her brow as she thought about who would know what to look for. "Whatever. I feel like we are pretty close to an answer." The gang fell silent for a moment, their eyes darting from the stone to the journal and back again as if daring one of them to suddenly reveal the answer. They had come so far, piecing together hidden messages and clues buried for almost a century. And now, they were on the brink of discovering what Dr. Hart had left behind. But how do we know we're reading it right? Rachel's voice broke the quiet, her doubt cutting through the air. If we go chasing after these coordinates and they're wrong? Charlie let out a small laugh, more nervous than amused. Well, we'll just have to take that chance, won't we? So, this weekend? Kurt asked, a determined grin spreading across her face. Yeah, Red said, her voice resolute. This weekend, we find out what Dr. Hart wanted us to see. Before they could make any arrangements, Charlie's phone buzzed, and he groaned at the screen. Great. My mom wants me home to take some medicine for my cold, he said, rolling his eyes. Kurt smirked, leaning back in her chair. Let me guess. It's probably that green, goopy stuff your mom swears will fix everything. Charlie sighed dramatically. Exactly. I can already taste the swamp in my mouth. Red shuddered, scrunching her nose at the thought. Drinking something green and slimy? No, thank you. Earth had many wonderful things, but green, yucky medicine was not one of them. Okay, let's all chat later, Alexa said, packing up her bag. Red, you okay with getting a taxi? My mom is coming to get me, and we're heading in the opposite direction. Yeah, I've already called one on the app, Red replied. Red sat in the back of the taxi, her mind racing with everything they had uncovered. Dr. Hart's journal wasn't just a series of scientific observations, but a guide. The hidden messages, the stone that turned translucent under light, and the coordinates. She hadn't yet entered them into her map app to pinpoint the exact location. All of it fit together, but the full picture remained hazy. Dr. Hart had worked with her father on the Martian project, likely in secret. So why had she embedded clues for someone to find? Why make it so cryptic? And why leave a map? If only she had access to a pad from Mars, she might already have the answers. The taxi pulled to a stop, and the app automatically paid the driver. Red stepped out, the cool evening air brushing her face as the deep blue sky was streaked with the vibrant colors she was getting used to. She took a deep breath and walked up the stairs, pushing open the front door. The scent of freshly cooked vegetables lingered in the air, but something felt different. It was unusually quiet. Red's eyes widened as she stepped into the kitchen and saw a figure standing at the counter, dressed in the unmistakable dark uniform of the AID. He turned to face her. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes were serious, edged with an emotion she couldn't quite place. It was her father. You and your friends have found more than you realize, and it's time for you to stop your attempts to find an answer before it's too late. And that is the end of this part. Good night. Sleep tight.